Okay.
So, you ready?
Now I am.
We're celebrating the 20 years of BookEnds this year.
Wait, what video are we doing?
We're celebrating the 20 years of BookEnds this year.
Yes, it's been fun. A whole year worth of celebration.
Yep. And it's had me thinking a lot about where we started and where we are now, and how I really credit the success of the 20 years to reinventing and reinvention.
Like reinventing our logo or our
Everything.
business model.
Well, everything. I mean, when BookEnds started, we were a packager. And we quickly realized that it wasn't where our passion was. And so we became literary agents. And and we recreated the logo.
Reinvented our lists.
In our lists, yeah. I mean, when I started BookEnds, I was doing a lot of romance, and we had absolutely no children's or YA on our list.
Yeah.
And now we have BookEnds Junior.
Yeah, so what do you think our viewers could take from that? Because I feel like they could take a lot.
And I think they need to, because, as I say repeatedly all the time, that being a published author means that you own a business. And any successful business has to embrace reinvention. I mean, Coca-Cola now sells water.
Do they?
Yeah,
I didn't
Dasani.
Oh, Dasani's gross, though.
Don't tell Kim that.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, authors need to embrace reinvention as well. It's how the most successful published authors keep going.
Yep.
For 20 years.
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit with Jen Stanley, too. Yeah, we talked about how, markets rise and fall, and sometimes your sustainability in, look at romance authors and...
Yeah. Well, and we see it with chick lit.
Yes.
So years ago, chick lit was very popular, and there was this huge rise, and just as quickly, a giant crash in the chick lit market. And
New adult.
And New Adult is another example. And the authors who survived those markets saw what was happening, saw the changes coming, worked with their agents.
Yep.
To sort of predict and plan for it, and immediately made a shift into another market.
And if you're not agented, a good way to do that is to keep up with what's being announced as being sold, keep up with what's on the shelves currently and what's hitting shelves right now.
Right.
Because that's a good way to watch how trends are changing.
Yes.
It's difficult to monitor how much is hitting the shelf, but sort of monitoring how many titles in romance are hitting the shelves, or just an example.
Yeah.
So if you're not agented, there's still ways to do it.
Right. There are. And I think, though, it's not always a switch in genre either. No. It's sometimes just a shift in what you're doing with your writing. I mean, right. Maybe it's a shift from contemporary to historical, or maybe it's simpler and it's just the natural evolution of your own writing and the stories you're writing, and even the growth of your voice and change. I use Laura Bradford as an example. Laura Bradford started out with us category romance.
Right.
And
with
then
Harlequin, right?
Yeah, with Harlequin. And then she switched over to cozy mysteries, and she published four cozy series as both Elizabeth Lynn Casey and Laura Bradford. And she has since made the shift into women's fiction.
Right.
And I think Laura is an example of one of my clients who it's just been incredible for me to watch her grow as a writer, even within her own genres, and even how her own cozies shifted from a simpler format to a more complex format and almost rolled naturally into her women's fiction voice.
Right. You're constantly developing, and I think it's important to allow that development to happen.
And actually open yourself up to it. I think where a lot of authors struggle is that they're afraid.
Or resistant.
Yeah. I mean, if BookEnds had been afraid, I consider our logo change as a real stepping stone into opening BookEnds up to new worlds, new agents, new genres.
It was a complete rebranding.
It was.
Sorry.
But had I been afraid to do that because I was comfortable where we would not be where we are today. We would not have BookEnds Junior. We would not be representing probably half the genres we represent.
Right. So take the leap.
Yeah. Reinvent yourself. Can be fun.